Hey y'all, hi. I feel like we're really serving some kind of reincarnation of a past version of myself today. I just filmed myself putting on this makeup for a Patreon video, and it's makeup that I haven't used in a really long time. Most notably, the Rowan shadows and Maybelline Gone Greige. And I feel like both of them came out of nowhere, or really like came out from the depths of the back of my drawers, the shadowy depths where things slip back to and then I forget about them. They both came out guns blazing and knocked my socks off just in time for another episode of New Makeup Releases Hot Takes. Because it's no by July, I'm going to be serving this one anti-haul style. So that means that I'm only going to be talking about releases to the makeup market that I actually kind of want. My wanting them is what will give me grounds to anti-haul them. I'm going to tell you of each of these things why I either really want it or kind of want it. And then I am going to tell you why I'm not going to buy it. My feeling and the philosophy that will be the umbrella over this entire video is that sometimes you really just need one good reason not to buy a thing. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm glad you're here. My name is Hannah and I really love makeup. I have a passionate love of beauty and I love following what's new to the makeup market, tracking trends. And when you do that, you tend to, or at least I do, fall in love with or be allured by and then end up wanting to buy way more than would be reasonable. I can't afford to buy all the things that I want. There's also not room in my house and in my life for all of the things that I want. And the only way to make that equation work is to talk myself out of buying most of the things I want. And that's what I'm going to be doing for this entire video. If you enjoy this, or if you've been watching my videos for a while and you aren't subscribed yet, then I hope you'll subscribe today. And now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. All right, I'm going to move to the side. I have a new chair and it's kind of a project to move it. All right, I'm really all the way over here today. I've cleared a lot of space so that the pictures of the products can be really big and you can really see what I'm talking about. I'm referencing Trend Mood 1, the Instagram account that posts about new makeup, and I'm going in reverse chronological order. So we're starting with the most recent thing that has been posted to Trend Mood that made me do a double take. And it is this Sephora favorites set, the gleamy, dreamy, all over face makeup set for $40. At first glance, it just looks so good. It's a Tower 28 product, and I've always wanted to try those, and I never have. The other thing that catches my eye right away is a mini of the Refi highlighting cream or highlighting balm. I'm a huge fan of the Refi brow sculpt, and I have long been curious about all of the rest of the makeup from Refi, so this set would be a chance to try that. And honestly, I didn't look further than those two things. When I first laid eyes on this set, I was like, Tower 28, Refi thing in a tube. I want it. It's only $40. It would be such a good deal. So because this is an anti-haul, I'm going to dive deeper and actually unpack what's being offered here. A mini of the Better Than Sex mascara. Not alluring at all, right? I have had that mascara. It's a great mascara, but I have a handful of mascaras right now that I'm working through, and I don't have curiosity about Better Than Sex. It's not like I need to try it to see what it's like because, again, I've tried it before. And a mini of a mascara like this, I mean, those are kind of a dime a dozen. That kind of thing is always being offered as like a 100 points Sephora reward, a free sample. The Rare Beauty Primer, a mini of the Rare Beauty Pore Diffusing Primer, fine, but it's like I have primers that are working just fine. That product isn't one that's interested me. I've never thought about buying it before. I'm not going to consider buying it in the future. It's just taking up space in this kit. A full size of the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in Wherever Walnut. I have to admit that's a great inclusion. I've had a mini of that. It's fantastic. But you know, that was years ago that I had that. And at the time it was my only My Lips But Better pencil for my lips. Right now I have the pencils from Muse Beauty Pro that are so amazing. They have the sturdiness, the long lasting quality of the Makeup Forever pencil, but they're much creamier. Even if I had this Wherever Walnut pencil, I would just continue using those instead. The ABH Brow Gel is, I think, a good product. It's like a good stronghold product. But again, I'm really into the one from Refi, and I have that right now. That's what I've been using. It's what I'll continue to use. There's one other that I'd like to try, which is the one from Patrick Ta, the brow gel from Patrick Ta. So I am kind of considering branching out when it comes to brow gel. But the one from ABH, trying it or owning it, it's just not on my list. And the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Dip clip-on, the like gloss bomb in a pot that you use your finger in. I actually actively don't want to own that. And if I were ever to buy this set, I would probably give that away. So it just boils down to the two products that initially caught my eye. And here's the thing, the Tower 28 Illuminating Cream Bronzer actually isn't a product that I want. There's a different product from Tower 28 that I've been interested in, which is the blush that's in the same format, the one that's in the color Magic Hour. That's the one that I actually want. And if I ever decide to buy or to try one of these products from Tower 28 in the compacts, I'll just go with my money and buy the one that I want, not use my money to buy this kit that has in it the one that I don't want, that just looks like the one that I want and is in a similar format, but it's not even the same formula or the same color. Also, that Tower 28 blush is only $20 and this kit is $40. There's this part of my brain that's considering spending $40 for a whole bunch of products, which include something similar to another product that only costs $20. That's the one that I actually want, but that doesn't actually include that product. It's so bananas. And the Refi Gloss highlight that's included here, it says it's in topaz. Does it only come in one color? Yeah, it only comes in one color, so I guess it's supposed to be universal, but it definitely has a strong bronzy or golden undertone, golden shift. And that's the one thing when it comes to highlighting of any kind that means that a product, even if it works for me, is never going to be my favorite. If it has a really strong gold reflect that could kind of lean orange on my skin. So if I wasn't really thinking about it, if I wasn't really unpacking it, then I would have bought this if it wasn't No by July. And if I was, in a Sephora, if I was kind of in a situation where it was easy to do it, like already placing an online order, I could easily have seen myself buying this without thinking too hard about it because on the face of it, it's very good value. All of these products, including some full-sized products that add up to a value that's way higher than the $40 that I'd be paying. But the actual value for me in my life, it's actually not even low. It's like negative. It's like a bunch of products that I didn't choose, that I didn't ask for, that I didn't actively want, showing up in my house, taking up space, rattling around, taking my focus off of the makeup that I did actively choose and buy and that I really love. Not to mention the fact that I would have paid $40 to get that, the honor of that. For $40, I could buy the Tower 28 blush that I've always been interested in, and then almost also buy a full size of the Refi highlighting gel cream balm thing if I was really that interested in it because it's $26. And frankly, I'd rather pay $46 and have the Refi product and the Tower 28 blush that I want. I would actually much rather do that than pay $40 for all of this. Whew. All right, that was kind of a doozy. Moving on, because it was like anti-hauling a whole bunch of things all at once, Moving on, a new K.I.S.S lipstick from Charlotte Tilbury designed to get me where I live. The color is so beautiful. It's like this really, really well-balanced and thrilling nude coral. It looks from the row of swatches that puts it in context of all of the other lipstick colors from Charlotte Tilbury. It looks like it's less pink, a little bit more ruddy than Pillow Talk. And Pillow Talk has always allured me, but always just been too pink for me and gone very pink on me. It's got that rusty tone that I really love, that kind of spice undertone. And of all the Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks that are showing in these swatches, it might be the one that's standing out to me and alluring me the most. I just really, really love this color for makeup, and I especially love it for a lip color. My one reason not to buy it is easy. I don't really like the Charlotte Tilbury lipstick formula. The one that I've gotten along the least well with is Matte Revolution. So of all of her formulas, K.I.S.S is probably the one that I would be the most willing to try again. But in my memory, it's got that very pigmented, slick, glossy quality that means that it just doesn't sit as well on the lips and wear as well throughout the day as other lipstick formulas. It's a little bit hard to control, the kind of lipstick I imagine I would get on my teeth. And there's so much beautiful lipstick on the market and so many formulas these days that I feel like are just to die for. I mean, most recently, the new Merit lipsticks. Tiger, actually, it looks kind of like this. Like, that's what it reminds me of. And that's probably my most used lipstick from the summer. I already own it. I already own this color, but in a formula that I love. Thinking about it that way makes it an easy pass. Okay, this is so interesting, so fun. A new release from Trixie Cosmetics that is a collab palette. It's a collab with Juno Birch, and it's so aesthetic. The advertising, the way it's been photographed, and even the qualities of the palette, which, spoiler alert, are the very qualities that make it easier for me to anti-haul this, make the photography so alluring. Those qualities are qualities of texture. The thing that makes it easy for me to resist the urge to buy this palette, to have a piece of that aesthetic joy, the thing that makes it easy is the fact that the shadows, they're not all matte, but the ones that aren't matte are this very, very sort of suede-like shimmer, finely milled. If there's shimmer in them, it's just kind of a muted shimmer. It's just a chill texturally, it's a very chill, faded, low-key palette. My favorite thing is the opposite of that. Color stories that are kind of low-key maybe in color, but absolutely wild bananas in terms of texture. For this palette, I think that it's done really well because I am much more attracted to this than I would be to this palette if it were the same color story but kind of more high key in terms of both chroma and texture even. It's like they've balanced out the fact that it has these like strong blues and purple and even some kind of greeny neutrals. They've balanced that out by turning down the dial on the contrast and the texture. I think when it comes to artistry, structuring a palette, overall balance, if I remove myself and my preferences from the equation, then I think it's done perfectly. I wouldn't have it any other way for its own sake, It's just that because of the way it's come together, there's not much here that I think would be practically useful for me in terms of doing my own makeup. So I'm able to have both things be true, that I think it's really well done and absolutely perfect as it is, and that because of all of the qualities that make it what it is, I am not going to buy it. Okay. The most difficult one, I think, and the moment we've all been waiting for, the new Pat McGrath palette. How pretty is this? How pretty is this? Just tell me. Inspired by sensually starlit seductions under the mesmerizing moon, the Pat McGrath Mothership 10 Moonlit Seduction. I mean, it has everything for me, right? It has the cool toned dark brown. It has its version of Skin Show Moon Glow, that soft beige that works for everything. It has some neutral leaning kind of sienna rose mattes, which tend to be useful for me in spite of myself. When they're in palettes that are more about that vibe, I tend to think they're boring. When they're in palettes just as best supporting actress, I tend to lean on them a lot, right? I could actually see myself making maybe a more wide-ranging use of these colors than I make of the colors in Midnight Sun. Platinum Dusk is being called a sparkly metallic anthracite. I love when there's an eyeshadow that's called out as anthracite. I feel like it signals, especially platinum and anthracite, it signals that metallic that's like a cross between silver and gold. That's one of my favorite things in eyeshadow. And there's a beautiful bronze, but all of that is just the platform upon which the 4 special shades are standing. And they just look like the most special shades that we've ever seen. Also the ones that would suit my interest in makeup and my use of makeup the best of any quad of special shades that we've seen in any of these Mothership palettes so far. There's one that's the Pat McGrath version of Urban Decay Lounge, MAC Blue Brown. Love to see it. I mean, I know we're like over it, but I'm also kind of not over it. And I love to see that from Pat McGrath. And then there are 3 that all look like they just have that super high voltage, very, very wet look shine. One with a gold leaning shift, one that leans kind of a rose, which I would love to have, and one with a lilac flip. It's not necessarily in every single way the Pat McGrath palette that I would design myself. Like, I'm not actually literally sort of jumping up and down and peeing my pants over over it. It's just closer to the mark maybe than most of the Mothership palettes have been in the past. It's making me want to buy it more than most other Mothership palettes have, especially the special shades and the fact that that brown is kind of taupe leaning, the fact that the bronze looks more gold than orange, again, that platinum color. There's just a lot to love, right? There's a lot to want about this. And here is my really quite pedestrian reason for being able to resist buying it right now. It's not limited edition, and it's definitely going to go on sale at some point in the future. Not only do I not need it now, or I guess another way of saying this is not buying it now doesn't mean that I can't ever touch it or have it or use it. Not only is that true, but I might not want it by the time it comes around the sale. Sentence structure. Hello. A week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, 2 months from now, my excitement about it might fade or be replaced by something else. And it might just become that really beautiful Pat McGrath palette that I don't regret not buying. Or a month from now, 2 months from now, I might still be thinking about it. I might see it in store and have all of my suspicions confirmed. And it might earn a place at the very top of my wish list. And then when a holiday rolls around, I might ask for it. Or when it goes on sale, I might put some of my budget towards it. I just don't know which one of those two things will happen right now. I have to wait to find out if it's actually worth my money and my time. I just can't tell from here. And that makes it easy to resist the desire to buy it right now. I really like the Pat McGrath palette that I own, the Midnight Sun, the one that I've ever owned and the one that I reviewed. I really like it, and I use it enough that in as far as it is ever going to be practical for me to buy another eyeshadow palette, which is, I use the term practical loosely because I don't need more eyeshadow to be able to put eye makeup on. I have so much. So for me, for eyeshadow to be a practical purchase for me, what that means is that it's something that I'll get a lot of continued use and joy out of. I buy it and then it doesn't just sit there or slip to the back of the drawer. It's something that continues to give. I've considered that there may come a day when it would be practical in that way for me to buy another Pat McGrath palette, another Mothership palette. And this is definitely a more likely candidate than any of the other ones. But that doesn't mean I need to buy it right away. The lovely and brilliant Pat has given me something to chew on, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to savor that, okay? For the rest of No Buy July and maybe even beyond. And we have a similar situation with probably the other most trying thing for me right now, the most trying thing for me to anti-haul, which is this Danessa Myricks palette. The thing that's really getting me about this, it is Lightworks 3. It is limited edition. It says it's the best-selling multi-chrome palette, which has been brought back. So I think it's been released as limited edition a couple of times. The thing that really gets me about this is the imagery, the images of the models. This one with the blush and highlight draped from forehead all the way down over the cheek, a little bit of green in one brow. I mean, I live for looks like this, right? This is everything to me in makeup. I love it. So I need to talk myself down, right? I need to calm myself down about this. And several things spring to mind. Number one, I can do this with what I already own. I just can. It's not the same as getting to play with Danessa Myricks formulas and see what they're like and have that experience. I do hope that one day I'll get to do that with a palette like this, with some other Danessa Myricks eyeshadows, maybe a different palette in the future, because I love her artistry. I really respect her work, and I've had some good experiences with some of her other formulas. But I need to break the link in my mind between the looks and the way that I'm responding viscerally to the aesthetic of Danessa Myricks' work and the purchase of this palette. Because a couple of things are true. One, what I just said, I could sit down and try to recreate this look, all of the looks that we're seeing here, using what I already own. And I have some really amazing super high voltage shadows, like my Cleona shadows, and even the Danessa Myricks chrome flakes that I could use to contribute to a look like this. I could probably dupe not necessarily the exact look, but the vibes of any of the looks in these promo pictures with great success. I mean, maybe not true great success because I don't have the skill of Danessa awesomeness of MYRICKS and the experience, but I could probably do as much to get close to this with what I own as I would be able to do with the palette. You know what I mean? And the other thing that's true is that even though these looks really inspire me passionately and bring up all this excitement in me and this joy and this appreciation for the artistry of makeup, even though all of that's true, I don't wear looks like this on a daily basis. If I did it, it would just be makeup playtime or for a video or for some photography or just for fun to see if I could do it and see what it was like. It's not something that I'm going to then start doing like all the time. And that's part of what the excitement's from, right? I feel excited about these examples of makeup as art rather than makeup as something practical for the everyday. But that means that my desire for the palette, my appreciation for what it's being shown that it can do, it's like drifting further and further from the reality of my life and what I use makeup for. And then continuing to scroll through the slides on this post on Trend Mood, I'm seeing these gorgeous, juicy swatches against a dark background. They look incredible, but again, I know I just went through my single eyeshadows and played with them, and I know that I have eyeshadows that do similar things to this. I know that I have a jeweled multichrome from Clionadh that swatches in this like scarab beetle green shifting way. I know I have eyeshadows with this like glowing magenta reflect, and I know I have some that flash green and gold like the final swatch in this slideshow on this post. If I had a much, much smaller eyeshadow collection than I have, and I didn't have any multichromes like this, if I had not yet explored this kind of makeup, like makeup that does what these shadows do, and I was sort of considering doing it, kind of waiting for the moment, maybe waiting for a Clionadh restock or something for deciding to acquire a couple of shades like this and play with them, then this might be a good option. If I wasn't on a no-buy, it might be a good option because it would be a way to acquire a handful of shades that do this exciting multichromatic reflecting shifting thing, have them, play with them, trusting that they're well formulated. But that's not my situation. I've been down this road before. And to me, loving makeup isn't about stockpiling as much of the most exciting kind of makeup as I can possibly stockpile. It's about loving what I own and using what I own. And if I get too much of one type of thing, then I have too much to use. Okay, let's talk about some, to me, very exciting skincare. I mean, maybe it's not this way to everyone, but it's CeraVe, which is this, in my experience, great drugstore skincare brand that makes very affordable, no-nonsense, ingredients-based products that do the things that we want our basic skincare to do. My best experience, or my most extensive experience with CeraVe, has been the really heavy nighttime moisturizer that for a long time I used for what I've learned is now being called slugging, putting on like a really thick layer of moisturizer. Is this a new term? Because I've been talking about this for years. If you've been following me since my no-buy year, then you know I was back there fumbling for words to describe this final step in my skincare routine of taking like a thick layer of an extra thick, absurdly thick layer of some kind of occlusive and putting it all over my face on top of all of my other skincare, not to nourish my skin with that product, but to seal in everything that was underneath. I still do pretty much do that. I am not as intense as I used to be about making sure that that final step is something so thick and so occlusive that is going to like sit on top overnight. But I pretty much still have the final step in my skincare routine at night as that, like sealing it all in kind of layer most of the time. And now here comes this term slugging. I think that it specifically means using something very oily and occlusive like Vaseline for that final step. I prefer to use a very, very thick night cream, and it's called slugging because it looks like a slug has gone all over your face and left its slime behind. Just FYI, I didn't get, it took me a while to figure it out. I had to Google it. Yes, I'm an influencer over here Googling what is slugging, and that's what it is. And I've been doing it since the day I was born. And one of the things I really love to use for slugging is this really heavy CeraVe night cream, which I'll try to remember to link in the description box. Anyway, I haven't been hanging out with CeraVe for a while. And in fact, I remember vaguely always mispronouncing it. And maybe I am still mispronouncing mispronouncing it. CeraVe? Maybe I never learned my lesson. Let's get back to the topic at hand, which is mainly this makeup removing product that CeraVe has released. It's a cleansing balm. And you know, I'm always on the hunt for an affordable, especially price per ounce, affordable, effective cleansing balm. I trust CeraVe to have formulated that. I mean, I haven't tried it, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, I bet that's great. And it's only $14. That is exactly the kind of thing that I would buy if I didn't have a cleansing balm and I needed to replace that hole in my skincare. Not replace a hole. You don't replace a hole. When something has left a hole, you replace that thing to fill the hole. And if I needed to do that with a cleansing balm, I would totally buy this. And I may do it in the future. But you know, you only need one reason not to buy something that's new to the market that's calling your name. And the reason is that I don't have that hole in my life right now. I have a cleansing balm that I'm currently using. I don't need to buy another one while I still have one. So I'm going to keep this in mind, but I'm not going to buy it right now. And not only because it's no buy July. I'm also intrigued by the eye makeup remover and the eye cream that have been released alongside the cleansing balm. I bet all three of these are great products, but I have the same reason for not needing to buy the other two. I actually don't really have an eye makeup remover. I usually just use extra cleansing balm in the shower or the bath to remove the makeup from my eyes. And it's something that I've kind of been thinking about getting. Like I've been thinking that it might cut down on how much cleansing balm I have to use, make it a little bit easier on my eyes if I had just like a step to remove makeup first before I got into the bath or shower and started actually cleansing my face. So this is the kind of thing, this makeup remover, it is the kind of thing that I could see myself impulse buying. I think maybe in this case, the thing that's stopping me is the fact that it's no buy July. I definitely am not out here trying to buy like random things that I've never had before that I'm not currently using just to see if they'll improve my life a little bit. Maybe somewhere down the line, I'll keep chewing on it and maybe I'll come back and decide to try it. But even that is the kind of thing that I find I make a better decision about if I've waited. If I've just waited and let the idea sink in, let myself get used to the thought, I end up spending less money that way and making better purchasing decisions that way than I do when I just buy things like as soon as they come up and as soon as they first present themselves to me as good ideas. Moving right along, CoverGirl is over here coming from an actual wig with a dewy tint, basically a cream blush in a tube that looks exactly like a Glossier cloud paint, except with different markings on the packaging. But in terms of like the shape of the component and the lid, they're copying Glossier. So obviously this caught my eye for that. But the thing that makes me absolutely convinced that there's someone over there in the CoverGirl headquarters who has it in for me, Hannah Louise Poston in particular, is this color in the top right-hand corner. I mean, is this the dawning of a new age? Are we like gonna have not just the pinks and the reds and the corals and the berries going forward, but also gross, weird, almost green looking beige in blush ranges? All other brands take note, please. This is how you do it. The best. I feel like this is such a good shade range. This is such a good shade range for blush, assuming that the formula is beefy enough to hold its own on any skin tone. Assuming that that's the case, and I hope that it is, then I feel like this is a really sound shade range. And in that case, to me, the only thing that's missing is like a very, very, very pale pink, like super neutral beigey pink or mauve. But when have we ever seen a brown like this? Maybe it's just the photography, because it says in the description, no, actually, there's a shade called Rosie Brown and Toasty Nude. This is what I'm talking about. Rosie Brown and Toasty Nude, not just one or the other. Now, I'm basing all of these passions on this one picture that actually looks like it might be a digital rendering, like it might not even be a photograph. And so we'll see. I'm following the future career of this product with great interest. My no buy in this case is being sorely tried by the shade that I believe is called Toasty Nude. I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that I would like to run right out and buy to see what color it actually is, to see what the formula is like, and to review it. But there is one little catch in this product that's making it easier than it would otherwise be to resist, and that is just that it's dewy, 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 the house down boots, right? It's saying dewy tint all over dewy tint. It says it's a 3-in-1 eyes, lips, and cheeks tint. I don't know. I would really rather that it was just like a cream blush. It just depends on what they mean by tint, you know? Because the Glossier Cloud Paint is kind of tinty, and it does work on the eyes because it kind of sets down. And it actually kind of works on the lips as well. It's not super nourishing on the lips, but that's what makes it a great product that works also on the cheeks and the eyes. But to me, it kind of stands alone. I almost never come across products that can work on both the eyes and the cheeks, let alone, well, no, actually, it makes more sense to say products that work on both the cheeks and the lips. They exist, but usually they're way better for one. Like they'll be great on the cheeks and then can also work on the lips. But it's hard to find that, let alone a product that also works on the eyes. Because for something to really work on the eyes, I mean, it has to kind of set. It has to be pretty specific. It has to have pretty specific qualities. I just don't know, CoverGirl, if it's really going to work on the eyes, cheeks, and lips. It's like, which one is it? If it does, I think we'll be hearing about it because that will be remarkable. I feel like if they had called it paint, if they had been a little more transparent about the fact that it's an homage to Glossier Cloud Paint, if they were like clean vegan 3-in-1 eyes, lips, and cheeks, like lightweight watercolor paint or something, if that's how they had marketed it, I would be like, ba-ching! I'd be less skeptical. But I just can't shake the feeling that it's going to be like a lip balm, maybe like slightly more pigmented than a lip balm, but basically just a colorful Vaseline that they're trying to make you put on your eyes. So I can wait and see some reviews and find out if it is that. If somehow they've managed to make something amazing in these great colors, I can just wait and buy it in August. And I'm going to leave it there. There are other products that are kind of note in one way or another that have been released recently, but none of them that have actually aggressively made me want to buy them. And I just wanted to anti-haul the things that I've actually wanted to buy and talk myself through it, talk you through it, help us stay true to no buy July. I'm going to move back to the middle. I've moved back to the middle to say goodbye, but I really don't have anything else to say except goodbye. I really appreciate you for watching this. And you know, I've done a check-in. Now I've come up with something to say. I did a check-in about no buy July about a week in. I will probably come back at the end of the month to talk about it. So, you know, if you are doing no buy July and you need to vent, or you need to check in, or you need to share your own progress, go ahead and take advantage of the comment section of this video. We're kind of towards the end of the second week as this video is posting. So let me know how you're doing. I'm doing better than I was the first week, I think. I've been reading a lot. I've been finding ways to spend my time other than actual browsing and shopping and thinking about what I might want to buy. So I feel a little bit like I'm through the weeds at this moment. Of course, you never know what will happen next week, but at this moment, I'm feeling pretty good. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you for spending this time with me. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.